Hello, Trailblazer, and may I guess coder, or at least coder curious. Today we are going to write some code. This is going to be React, it's going to be Typescript, it's going to be all that nice stuff. I'm not going to go into the details of how to code. That's stuff you're going to have to look into yourself. I just want to give you the feel of what it is, what it looks like to develop medium scale JavaScript application. This is going to be a map. This is going to be a combination of my Excel spreadsheet and my .NET, my Paint.NET PDN file. This is the PDN file. It's going to look very much like this, by the way, when we're done. These are the coordinates. I want to combine these two things into an app so that I don't have to have those two things open while I'm doing my Doranfall and my Jordan's Realm videos. And so what we're going to do to start is I have let me get to it here. I have GitHub repository. GitHub is free. And it's really cool. GitHub repository here, and it's a JS Monroe /Minecraft map, and this will be a public repository. Right now it's empty, but this will be a public repository where you can clone it, fork it, do whatever you want with it. Or if you want to just catch up to where we are in the videos. So let's see. First thing I need to do is I want to clone locally my GitHub repository. So I have Git installed, so I just do git clone, and I've already copied this URL. I'm using HTTPS, so I'm already copied this URL, and do that. And it's going to clone it very quickly because it is an empty. It actually warns me about that. You appear to have cloned an empty repository, and we have. So let's go to our Minecraft map that was just created. And if we look at here, look in here, all there should be is pretty much nothing. I think there's some hidden. I think there's a Git folder in here that. Let's see, Explorer. Yeah, there's a Git folder. This is basically our Git repository right here, this little Git folder. If you take this folder and move it to another folder, then that will be the repository. It's just that this is everything Git on our machine, which is kind of cool. I like that. It's all wrapped up in this little tiny folder. There's nothing else anywhere else. And that just makes things very, very good, very modular, very decoupled. It's nice. Okay, so what we're going to be using, we're going to be using, I believe it's called Vite. And so we are going to say npm create Vite. And we want to do the latest version. And we want to call this mine. Oh, wait, I need to go up a directory. Sorry. We want to say npm create Vite latest. And this will be called Minecraft map. And we want to say template React TS, which I don't know that template really matters because it makes you select this anyway. We're going to select React. We're going to select TypeScript. And now if we go into Minecraft map, it's got a lot of files in here. Not as many as the old Create React app used to add, but quite a few. I like Vite. It makes a really more compact installation. I like it a lot. It's a nicer kind of thing. In fact, if we were to go, if I were to do npm run dev, it would bring Vite is not recognized as an internal. Well, that's weird. Okay, well, let's go to code. I use code. Visual Studio Code, which is a free editor. And right now it's asking me if I trust the authors of the files in this folder, and since I created them, I do trust them. And so I do trust them. And so this is Visual Studio Code, and we'll open up a terminal. So you just go terminal, new terminal, and this is going to be PowerShell, but that's okay. PowerShell works. If we do npm run dev, Vite is not recognized. Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot one of the important things. You do have to do npm install in the directory. So let's not do that here. Let's go back here, npm install. And what this does, what npm install does, is in your package.json, you have a lot of dependencies and dev dependencies. Vite just puts them here. It doesn't actually install them. So you have to actually go in and install your dependencies using npm. And so what npm is doing is it's going through all of these dependencies and installing them and then installing their dependencies. And so that's what this process is. It takes a while. But just to explain the package.json, this is the heart and soul of your application, more or less. You have a package name. It's set to private. I'm not sure what that does. We're at version 0. It is a modular type. I think that means it's using modules, JavaScript modules. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the case. And these are scripts. So these are the, when I do npm run dev, it effectively runs this script here, this dev script. You can also do npm run build, npm run lint, which I've never done before, but I can try that out. It'd be interesting to try that. And I'm not sure what preview is either. We have our production dependencies, which in this case are React and React DOM. Obviously, this is a React app, so we're going to need those. React is it's the heart of React. It's how React works. It's the JSX. It's all of that. React DOM is what connects React to the document object model so that it can be incorporated into the web. React is actually a very flexible tool. It doesn't have to be connected to the DOM. In fact, there's React Native, which works for iOS and Android devices. And I've done a little bit of that. That's kind of cool. It doesn't use React DOM. It uses a different thing. I think it is just React Native. Here in our dev dependencies, we have ESLint, which keeps us honest with our syntax. We have types React, which supports React in TypeScript, and types.react DOM, which supports React DOM in TypeScript. We have, I believe that this is a plugin between, I'm not sure what this is. This is something Vite put in. It's Vite's plugin for React, I guess. ESLint, again, ESLint keeps us honest. It gives us error messages when we do something that's not quite right. Globals, I'm not sure what that is. TypeScript is just TypeScript, and then there's TypeScript ESLint. This stuff is just put in by Vite, most of the stuff, and it just helps us to code. And it does stuff that helps the development, the development experience. So now that we've installed everything, let me go back out here and just show you that you can do npm run dev from any command prompt, and it'll actually spin up. And you can see it gives you this HTTP localhost doody-doo. And if I take my browser back over here, I don't need this anymore. If I take my browser back over here and I plug this into my browser, then it'll spin up this handy Hello World type app that Vite has created. You can see that it's got the little count, and that's cool. And this will take you to pages to learn more. So that we actually have to get rid of all that stuff. So that would be here in index. No, it's actually in the app component. So I don't need the React SVG. I don't need the Vite SVG, and I really don't need this Yeah, none of that's very useful. This we will get rid of. See, this is the count thing in React. I'm not going to go into how React works, but this is basically the count variable. It gives you a value and then lets you set the value. You can see here that when this is clicked, it just basically adds 1 to it. So that's how that works. So I'm going to take everything out of here, but the these are called fragments, and yeah. So this is basically shorthand for React.fragment. Okay, we'll pull in React.fragment. So basically, this is the React fragment. That's the wrong way. React fragment element, and but this is shorthand for it. What a fragment does is it allows you to like normally you can only have one. You can only return one element from a component. Component is a function in React, and you can only return one element from it. But the one element can be a fragment, and this fragment doesn't actually render anything. Doesn't actually render anything, and so let's just do hello world, just to say that we did something. And the index, I like to actually. Okay, I like what are called CSS resets, and I'll copy this from here, put this into here, and what this does is it basically, first of all, one thing I like is I like to have four spaces, not 3, and so wait, you're gonna make me fix it myself. How dare you? All right, I'll fix it myself. Okay, so this is the reset I'm using. Sets a fairly generic font family, default stuff, basic stuff. Is this the right one? Hang on, this may not be the right one. There's the reset I know and love. This looks much more like it. Okay, this is a reset. What it does mostly is it sets. This is all very funky right now. I'm not sure why it's like this, but this sets things to basically just be nice, behave nicely. Okay, let me go through some of what this does. One of the most important things that people like to do is set the border box. I'm not going to go into the details of what that does, but it basically makes margins and paddings and things like that behave a little bit more the way you'd expect them. We like to set the margin to 0 on things because sometimes things can have its own margin, like headers can have its own margins. We're setting a line height to 1.5. We're setting these to display block because honestly images like to be inline. SVGs, these other things like to be inline, I guess, and the max width is 100%. These are basically things you can look up resets, CSS resets on the internet and find one you like. This is the one I'm using, and it works pretty well, actually. So here, the other thing is this set the font family to a nice font? I don't remember. I guess not. It was before, but now it's not. Let's see. Do I set one here? No. Great. Right. So, after doing this, let's see if it still works. I'm going to actually run dev here, and on top of that, I am going to configure a debug. Let's see. So we're going to create one for Chrome, and see right here, instead of 8080, we are going to slip in 5173 that Vite has given us, I guess. Like that. That's cool. Right, everything else looks good. And so when I do that, all right, so now if I run this in debug, it runs kind of a generic version of my browser, so it's just basically a blank browser. And I'm not sure if I can actually install any extensions on it. It says that I should install React DevTools, but this is just a generic blank browser. It's not even my normal browser. And there's our hello world, and it's in wonderful Times New Roman. Good old browser default. First thing I want to do, I want to basically create a canvas. This map is going to be rendered on a canvas, and it is going to, so I think what we need first is, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to create a folder called components. This is where the components will be, except for our app component, which will stay on the root of the source, the root of source, effectively. And we'll create a new file. I'm going to call this canvas.tsx. This will be our component, and this component will be a function, and we'll call it canvas. It's not going to have any properties right now. And so here, we're going to return, and I like to return in parentheses, and we're going to say, we're just going to return a canvas, and we're going to call it, and that is that. And then from the app tsx, instead of returning this, we are going to return a canvas. Let's see. So we need to import the canvas. So let's go ahead and do that. Import. And that's going to be in components. Canvas. TS. No extensions on imports. And then here, instead of hello world, we're gonna create. We're going to actually use our canvas component. Why is it giving me red squiggles? Oh, that's right. I have to export default canvas. Yep. And then here, what am I doing? Import canvas from. There we go. All right, the brain cells are starting to click in. All right, so cool. So all I think I want to do at this point is, get a canvas to show up in our doody-doo. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we're not going to see anything because canvas you can't really see from it with so if you go into our root, there's our canvas, little tiny canvas, 300 by 150. Really cool. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, because the way a canvas works, it uses what's called a render loop. And a render loop is effectively something along the lines of, so you'd have something like function step, and then there you get a timestamp argument, which is basically the amount of time that this function has been running. If you save off a time, like if you save off a start, like let start equals 0. If you save off a start, then you can get the elapsed time by doing something like elapsed equals time stamp minus start. Okay, yeah, I think it's getting upset because I'm not. I think it's getting upset because I'm not using these variables yet, and I want this to be 4 spaces. I don't know why it's defaulting things to two spaces. I'm really annoyed by that. But I'm going to do 4 spaces, and then I can do this. Nope, that didn't work. I'll just do. I wish there was just a way to fix the spaces with that. There probably is, honestly. If I do that, though, it will add the spaces where necessary. I like 4 spaces because I can see the breakdown of things. So then this is going to, and then we want to set start to timestamp, and then each time this runs through, elapsed will show you how much time has passed since the last time this was called, and so you can do animations and things with that pretty well. And then here is the little power of this tool. You say request animation frame, and you pass in this function itself. So every time this function is called, it requests another frame, which then calls the function. It's kind of a back and forth. That this is part of JavaScript and the Canvas. This is how it does, basically how it does a continuous render. And then here, and this will return a handle, and we can request our function to run, and then that handle you can later call cancel animation frame and pass that handle, and it will stop the animation frame. Or you can just not call it from within the function itself. Either way, it will cancel the animation. Don't mind these. I think I don't like this little warning here. I'm going to have a lot of unused variables because I'm in the process of coding, and I hate that there we go. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to these little red squiggles are coming from ESLint. And so I'm going to go to my little ESLint configuration here, and I'm going to go to rules, and I'm going to put in this as a rule, and I'm going to turn it off. Well, that's weird. I disabled, and again, this is using the wrong spaces. Spaces, 4 spaces, and then, oh, bugger. Oh, replace the 2 for the 4 so it looks nice. Oh, I can see that so much better. Okay, so we have this, and we turned it off. So if we go back to here, it'll give you a warning that is declared, but it's never used. But it's not going to give you the little red squiggles. It's not going to give you the errors, which is nice. And so for this to run within our canvas, we should probably put it into a use effect. So I'm going to copy this out of the app. We don't need that in the app, but if I put this in the canvas itself, let's put that into a use effect. So use effect. What use effect is it basically React is a functional language. There's a functional flow to it. So it's functions that call functions that call functions. There's a little bit more hand waviness around that. So I'm going to create a use effect, and what use effect does, I'll just briefly explain. Use effect basically steps out of the flow and does some functions that interact with things outside of React, and allows that to be brought into the React, allows data to be brought into the React that way. You use use effect, for instance, if you are doing an asynchronous call to an API, you'd use a use effect. There's other features of like React query, things like that work a little bit better. What we're going to do is we are going to paste. Man, why did it do that? Paste that code in like this. And so like this, and then this cancel thing, what you return from the use effect is actually there is a dependency array here, and you basically put an array of dependencies, and if any one of these dependencies change, the reference changes or the value changes, this use effect gets called again. And that's how it works. And if you have an empty array, that basically just means that this use effect gets called when this canvas component mounts, and only when this canvas. So it only gets called once. So what we want to do in this use effect is we want to render things to the canvas. And so to do that, we need the canvas, you know. So there's a little bitty hook inside of React called useRef. What a ref is very simply, a ref is simply a container for an instance. It's not the instance itself. It's a container for an instance. So if I do const canvas ref equals useRef, and we want this to be an HTML canvas element. And what we'll do with this, pull that in from React, and we will set this to null initially. And so the cool thing we can do in React DOM with ref is that every element has a ref property. In fact, it's so baked into React DOM that you actually cannot have a ref attribute on any of your components. There's a way of passing refs into components called ref forwarding, but you can't actually put a ref attribute on it. That's how important ref is. What ref allows you to do is it allows you to pass in your ref instance, this React.ref object here, pass in canvas ref to that. And what this does is whenever you hit an event, initially when this is first called, this ref is going to be null. But whenever you hit an event, or in this case a use effect, this ref will be available. The current property of this ref will be available, and that's what we're looking for here. And so what we're wanting to do with that ref is we're wanting to this is, well, I guess we do have this step equation here. So we have, this is our render function. And so what we're wanting to do is const canvas equals canvas ref dot current. And so by the time this use effect is called, which will not be initially, this is actually called after the fact. It's a side effect. Use effect is, the effect is for side effect. So it happens outside of the standard flow, the standard render flow in React. And so what will happen here is this will give us a canvas, and in HTML5 canvas for two-dimensional rendering, we want to get a context. So const, some people call this CTX. I prefer the word context. I prefer spelling out my words. It just makes reading a little bit easier, reading code a little bit easier, I find. I used to do CTX, but I think I prefer context. It's only 4 more letters, you know? So if we do get context on the canvas, and we pass in 2D, because we're interested in the 2D canvas, why is that not liking that? Oh, it's possibly null? Oh, yeah, we don't want it to be null. So what we'll do here is, if this is null, if canvas equals let's see, if, oh, we'll just do a random truthy check. This is a truthy falsy thing. If you don't know what that is, in JavaScript you have true and you have false, and those are actual values, but then you have truthy and falsy, and certain values like let's see, like, did I just hit F11 again? Okay, weird. So things like an empty string is falsy. What else? 0 is falsy. Certain values are falsy, and it kind of does make sense. The benefit here is that the undefined, and in this case null, which are two different things, by the way. Undefined and null are both falsy. And so if we say if not canvas, we're asking if canvas is falsy, indirectly asking is it null. And so if it's null, we can just return. And in order to, so this should be okay now, because it's not going to be null at this point. What? Interesting. I'm going to take this outside of the step. Oh, that's right. Because it's being called in a function within a function, this may become null at some point, and that's what ESLint was complaining about. So we want to do the same thing, I think, for the context. So if not context, then return. You know, we could simplify this. There's a thing called a null conditional operator. And what this does is, if canvas is null, then context becomes null or undefined. In this case, it would be undefined. So if Canvas cannot use the dot operator because it's null or undefined, then this whole expression just returns undefined, in which case this would be undefined, and it would return. That simplifies it, so we only have one return there. And so now we have a context, and the context is the powerhouse. The context is what we use to actually render things to our canvas. That is the fun, that is the playground. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to, the first thing to do in any, case, anytime you use a rect, is to clear the rect, because if you don't clear the rect, it's still going to have the pixel values from the last run. And if you don't want that, then that's fine. You can just have that in the background as random noise, pixels from the last time you ran it. Sometimes you can do really interesting stuff with that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do context.clear rect, and we're going to do 0. Start at 0, 0, which is the upper left, the top left corner, and then we're going to do context.canvas. This right here is the same thing as our canvas up here. Same thing, which makes things useful. So you only have to pass a context to things. You don't have to pass a canvas with it. And we want the width, and we want context.canvas.height. And it's giving me a red squiggly. I know why it's doing that. It's doing that because, okay, so actually at this point I'm really unsure as to why it's giving me that. Why is it saying that might be null or undefined? Because it's returning there. Let me try putting back in the other null, I guess. Right, if not canvas, return. And then we take this out. So this is then only, wait a minute. What happens if I do this? And then make this into an arrow function. Does that change things? That changes things. That's what it is. Okay. So let me, oh, I get it. Okay. It's because I'm using a function here. This function, it does closures differently than arrow functions. So this should really be an arrow function. So let me make that into an arrow function, and that fixes that. Awesome. Okay. So let's see. The next thing we want to do after we clear the rect is we want to set our fill style, and we want to just draw a red rectangle. So we're going to do context dot fill style, and we're just going to say red. It understands all of your standard CSS colors and styles and things like that. That's file style, isn't it? Fill style. And then we're going to do context dot fill rect, and then we're going to do that. We're going to fill from 10, which is going to be 10 pixels away from the top left corner of the rectangle, and then we're going to make it 100 by 100. And then if we do that, and we hope that it works. Let me launch this again. We will see that the site can't be reached because I need to start the terminal, which we will do. Come on, give me a terminal by running npm run dev. And we can refresh, and it should give us our 100 by 100 red square. It's 10 pixels off from the top. Now the problem with this canvas here is that if we inspect it, we will see, now come on, show me the canvas, inspect it, we will see that the canvas itself is really tiny. And the issue here is that it gets a little tiny bit complicated when we want to expand it to the size of the screen, because if I were to say, let's just do it. If I were to, where's my styles? Oh, they're down here. If I were to say, just put on here width 100% and height 100%, then you can see that around the edges here, it's kind of a little blurry. Can you see that? It's a little tiny blurry, and that's because the square, and our square is no longer 100 by 100 pixels. That's because whenever the canvas increases in size, the image it has in it increases in size, because it treats its pixels, its content, very much like a bitmap, very much like an image tag. In fact, you can save the image here to your hard drive if you want to, or copy it or whatever. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do here instead of that is we are going to, within our use effect, we are going to, hang on, I bet I need to do some, yes, let's look at our app CSS. We are going to do that in app CSS. So here we are going to do canvas width 100%, height 100%. And what that will do is basically do the same thing that we saw before, except now it's in the CSS. So now in JavaScript, in React, what we're going to do here is we are going to, oh, one thing I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot this. If this, I said this before, I think, if this canvas ever unmounts, we're going to want to undo, backpedal on everything that happens here. And the way you do that is you return a function, and that function will get called whenever this component unmounts. And so here I want to cancel this cancel animation frame, and you pass it the handle that you get from request animation frame, and then it'll cancel that. And so if whenever this canvas component unmounts, for whatever reason, React does whatever it wants to do, whenever it unmounts, this arrow function will be called, and it will cancel this animation frame. Now what we want to do here is I want to add a function here, and I'm going to make this work like it was working before, because I liked that a lot and it wasn't the problem. So that can work that way. Make a function, we'll make it an arrow function, we'll call it on window resize. And we will, right here, what we're going to do is we are given the window is a global object, and it has an inner width and an inner height. And what we're going to do, just so that the canvas knows how big it's supposed to be rendering, we're going to say canvas.width. We give it, a canvas has a width and a height property, and that tells the canvas and the context within the canvas how big. Yeah, I think it needs that extra if statement, because now it's complaining that the canvas might possibly be null. All right, we'll do it that way. That's fine. This tells the canvas itself how big its viewport should be, how big it should be displaying. So if we do if not canvas return, that should fix that. And then this won't be called by anything. We have to actually assign it, and I'm going to do that under this here, window.add event listener, and we're going to do the resize event, and we're going to do on window resize, like that. Now, this is not going to call on window resize when the app first loads. So let me show you what that means. If I do this, and I go here, and I'm getting an exception, I guess. What am I getting here? Console. Uncaught. Okay. What's this? The requested module does not provide. Oh, right. Oh, what? Wait, what? What requested module does not provide a default? Oh no. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, well that's fun. Why are you saying that? Let me just try restarting the it's saying the same thing. Fun, fun, fun. The requested module canvas.tsx does not provide an exported default, but it does. Why are you saying that it doesn't? Where's my app.tsx? It does provide that. In fact, this is very much aware of that fact. Okay. Let me think about this logically. So yeah, an app, it's saying it doesn't provide, but it does. I swear it does. Maybe I'm getting an issue here. Well, let's walk back. Let's walk this back, see if that fixes it. That does fix it. So something about this. Well, what I'm going to try to do is I've attached this on resize. Let me go ahead and window.remove event listener, the other side of the coin there, and on window resize, and see if that makes it work better, because this should work. Okay, well I guess that kind of works. I don't know. Let's see if this is called. Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I was just telling you when I got that weirdness. Okay, so yeah, so this isn't going to call this. It's not actually going to call that. It's not actually going to call this function. And that's because this only happens when the window resizes. If I do actually resize the window, then it does call that, and it gives it gives a width and a height. So that's fine. It calls it twice because, you know, React is weird that way. And see, now it functions. Now it's showing the 100 by 100 again because it's telling the canvas how big it is. And so what we want to do now is right here below this, within the context of this use effect callback, we want to say on resize, on window resize. And what that does is when this first mounts, it will call this on resize. And this on resize doesn't take any arguments. It just uses the global window. And so it's able to get everything it needs. Now, if I refresh that, it works just fine. It gives us a little 100 by 100 square, and it actually is 100 by 100. So that's nice. And if I go here and I inspect this, and I inspect it again because I don't know why it's not doing that anymore, it shows me that the canvas fills up the entire screen, which is what we want. And so what we want to do now is a little bit of refactoring. And the reason I say that is because this code here is hideous. It's hideous. You shouldn't just leave a giant mile-long use effect inside your canvas. First of all, we need to provide the, maybe we don't have to provide the ref because it doesn't seem to be asking for it, so I'm not going to. That's fine. But what I'm going to do, and what I usually do in this case, is to make this a little bit cleaner and to move all of this stuff out of here, is I like to create a custom hook. So I'm going to create a folder called hooks, and I'm going to create a folder called hooks, and in here I'm going to create a useCanvas.ts. And here, this useCanvas is going to be a function. Any custom hook is going to be a function. The only thing that makes it a hook is that it starts with use. So we say useCanvas, and we pass in the canvas ref, which is a ref object. Do I need to? Yes, I do. And it's a ref object of HTML, canvas, element, or null. And it is, and we're gonna, okay, we'll do that later. And then this is basically just going to, then we're going to export this as a default export. Use Canvas. And we're going to basically take everything. I think we're going to take the entire use effect. The whole use effect as a whole. We're going to take this and we're going to put it in here. And we're going to bring in use effect. And now it is telling us that we have a dependency. And the reason it's telling us that we have a dependency is because this has now become, it's no longer the use, it's no longer part of the use ref. Here, it wouldn't be a dependency. It's now part of the, it's now it's an argument for this custom hook. But rather than do it this way, what I think I want to do is take this, pass this in like this, and we'll bring in use ref here as well. And what is this? Duplicate identifier. Well, we'll take this part out, and then what I can do here is return this canvas ref. We'll return the canvas ref, and then what I can do out here is I can say canvas ref equals use canvas, and it just works like that. And because this is doing its own use ref in here, I don't need a ref object anymore. Because this is using its own, and you can if you want to be complete, you can, we'll bring back that ref object, and you can, if you want to, say that this returns a ref object of HTML canvas element or null, and then that out here that'll clarify what is it. Oh, because this might, what is not assignable. Oh, it's or undefined. Or undefined. Okay. What? Bugger. Okay, well, or just do that. How about that? Because I think that's what this is. I don't think it can ever be null or undefined. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So this just gets returned from the use canvas, and when it gets passed into this canvas element, it assigns its current to the actual DOM element of the canvas. And so it seems a little bit backwards, and it kind of is, because you're not passing the canvas into this hook. It's passing you back kind of like a callback almost, that the canvas is then using to provide the use canvas with that canvas object. And if I do this, one thing I like to do with hooks, with my hooks folder, is I like to create a file called index.ts, and I like to say export default as use canvas, and then from use canvas. And that way, rather than getting the actual thing, this becomes that, and it gets called directly from hooks. And what's wrong? What is wrong? Why is it not liking that? I love this. Use it. Oh, canvans. Cavans. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's much better. And it's no longer a default, and it just comes out of this. And all of our hooks, all of our custom hooks are going to come from this hooks folder. So if you have any others, it's just going to go in the same line. It's just a little bit cleaner. But anyway, so yeah. So now we have this fairly nice looking custom hook. The only problem I see with this is that it is the hook itself that's doing this rendering. It's not really that great. We don't want it to do that rendering. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create a rendering function, and this rendering function can be just your standard pure function outside of everything. So if I do make an onRender function, and we'll give it the context. Actually, no, I want it to be a function. We'll make it a function. OnRender context canvas rendering context. I usually use arrow functions in a case where closure is specific, is a specific need. I spelled this wrong, didn't I? Where closure is kind of needed, like if you're inside of another function and you want a closure around that other function. Sometimes functions work for that, sometimes they don't. There's specific uses for arrow functions and versus regular functions, and they are a little bit different, but in this case, I'm going to take this out of here and put it in here. And then what I'm going to do here is that I am going to pass this as a callback to our useCanvas onRender, and it is going to be context canvas rendering to, that's a really hard thing to spell, context 2D. Canvas rendering context 2D. Did I not spell that right? Okay, we'll try that. Oh, capital D. What? Oh yeah, and then it's going to return void like that. And then what we're going to do here is inside this, we are going to call our onRender callback with the context. And that's what we're going to do there. And I think that's pretty much it. Then, oh yeah, we have to pass in onRender. Now this creates a little bit of a tricky situation here, because in here, what's it? Oh yeah, and then we have to pass in onRender here. This is not going to change because this is in global scope, and that's fine. But you have to be mindful of this, because if we do something more like this, the problem here is that this onRender dependency now, every time Canvas renders, this is going to be a new function. And so if we go back here, this onRender is going to be different every time this renders. And so this use effect is always going to, if it's not the first time it's run, it's always going to call this, and then it's going to call this. And that could effectively, I don't think it is in this case, but that could effectively be a performance hit. Especially if you have a lot of re-renders. And I don't like that. I don't like that it, I mean, I kind of get it, because you know, this may have specific closures and you want to recapture those closures. But here it's not a problem, because you have this function that's outside of the scope, and that's kind of where we're going to stick with this, because the way this onRender function is going to evolve is that it's going to act on the state of our application and render that state. And so all of the interactive parts of our application are just going to change that state and not do any rendering itself. And that just makes things a little bit cleaner. There's going to be we're going to have to hand off. We're going to have a map object that is unfortunately named the same as a JavaScript map, which is actually a very useful hash map. And we'll have to find a way of aliasing that. And we're going to have a viewport object, and those two things are going to be connected to state, but they're going to have to be passed into the onRender, and we're going to have to do some kind of tricky stuff to get that to work right. But that you know, it's not a big deal. The other thing is we're probably going to want to pass. Yeah, let's do that. We don't have to accept it as a thing here, but it might be useful to define this function to take number, or to take elapsed number, like that, and then we can just take this and pass it in as the elapsed value. We're not really going to do much with elapsed because we don't have any animations, and so here we could have elapsed here, like we could accept elapsed here and its number. but you know, it's going to tell us we're not using it because we're not using it. And so we may do something with that. I don't think we have any animations, so I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, so that should still let's see, let me run the debug of this. That should still draw our red square. So we've refactored and everything still works right, and that's really cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to commit this back to Git. So all right, so I'm going to commit this back to Git. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do git add, and what this does, and we can see it over here in the UI, is it takes everything in our thing and it stages it. So these are now all staged changes. So all of our changes are staged. So that's cool. And I'm going to commit this as video 1 because this is going to be the end of our first video, I think. Yeah. So git commit, and we do M for the message, for the commit message, and we're going to say video 1 and commit that. That way people will be able to see, people will be able to go to, because if you go here, you could see that, and if you want to, you could even just, should I make branches? I think I should make branches. I'm gonna say git branch, and we're gonna call it video 1. That way you can always go to the video 1 branch and get the latest, just to get where we are on this video. So this will be in GitHub. This will be in GitHub. Let me see about where that would be. Here is our Minecraft map project. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to go here, and I am going to git push to push main up there. Main will be the latest code. And I'm going to go git switch video 1. And then I'm going to push this up there. Oh, okay, well, I do u origin video 1. You got to tell it what remote branch you want, which is weird because if you try to name it something else, it doesn't let you. So why not just use the name of the local branch? I don't know. Okay, so that's been pushed. So if I go here and I refresh, you can see all of the changes here. And this is for video 1. And this is this is Vite's README. I don't know if I want to README or not. Maybe I'll have a README eventually, but this is Vite's README. It's fine. And so I have 2 branches. I have main and video 1. And so you can go there. You can clone with just git clone, and then here's the HTTPS address. If you want to use keys and silliness like that, you can use SSH. I don't bother with that unless I'm working for a company that requires it. All right. So, all right. That is where the code can be found. So I will catch you next time.